This is good. Oh yeah, I bet this is gonna be good. Here we fucking go, boys.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Kanye West, now known as Ye, is one of the best-selling musical artists in the world. He has also in recent years become a celebrated and very highly paid fashion designer. And of course, for a decade, he was well known to TV audiences as an in-law of the Kardashian family.
Yes.
But it's West's latest incarnation as a kind of Christian evangelist that brought us to his office in Los Angeles today for the interview you're about to see. Days ago, during Fashion Week in Paris, West, accompanied by his friend Candace Owens, unveiled a T-shirt that read simply, "White Lives Matter." The response from the fashion industry and international media was instantaneous and uniform. Shock, horror, rage. There is no excuse for this.
Were people that mad about it? I feel like people weren't really that mad. Yeah? I mean, I feel like Kanye does so much stuff that people get mad about that people are like desensitized to Kanye doing anything controversial. Yeah, it's Kanye being Kanye. Yeah, I remember whenever this happened. This was like 2 weeks ago or something, a week ago, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. People were like, "Oh, it's Kanye. What do you expect?"
Thundered the New York Times. West is legitimizing extremism, shrieked Rolling Stone, etc., etc. What was strikingly missing from the coverage, however, was any explanation for why West did this. What was the T-shirt about?
I was wondering.
No one seemed to think to ask him, much less to listen to what he had to say. Instead, the enemies of his ideas dismissed West, as they have for years, as mentally ill. Too crazy to take seriously. Look away, ignore him. He's a mental patient. There's nothing to see here.
I do think that Kanye West acts a bit crazy. I mean, to be fair, but it doesn't mean I don't like him. I just think sometimes he acts a little bit crazy.
But is West crazy? You can judge for yourself as you watch what we're about to show you.
All right, let's see it.
He has his own ideas, we can say that. Creative people tend to.
Yes.
That's why they're artists, not actuaries. His free-form social media posts give the impression of a man channeling his rawest emotions right onto Instagram. The effect can be jarring and is often used as ammunition against him in the battle for influence over the minds of America's young people. And that battle is intense.
Okay.
But crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact, we've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes. But again, you can judge for yourself.
Here we go.
Here it is.
Let's see it.
So you just came from Paris Fashion Week. You just landed, and you have a lanyard still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Okay.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I'm starting to see why they want to make you be quiet.
That's wild. Holy shit. Is that true? Like, I don't even know. Avoid that? Holy shit. Like, it's hard for me to say, like, I'm not a person, like, I've always been pro-choice, right? I've definitely been pro-choice. So I've not felt an argument that would make me more against that. But this is very interesting to hear. It's true. Yeah.
When did you start to feel this way? When did you start to realize this?
Well, he's been doing that. He did that Bible album before.
I really felt like, I think I started to really feel this need to express myself on another level when Trump was running for office, and I liked him.
Yes.
And every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to my manager at that time to, you know, my so-called friends / handlers around me, told me, like, if I said that I like Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like,
oh, that shit's never true. Like, the thing is, here's how you know that's never true. Because today, whenever I was driving to, where did I go today? Chipotle. You know who I heard on the radio? Chris fucking Brown. If Chris Brown can get his fucking woman-beating ass back on the radio, Kanye's not going to get kicked off for liking Trump. It's not going to happen. If people like the music, that's all that fucking matters.
People get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, okay, green light me then. God builds warriors in a different way. I don't know if it's because of me being born in Atlanta and growing up on the south side of Chicago that, he made me for such a time like this. It's like with David, he tended to the sheep, but while he was out there, he had to fight all kinds of animals. So when it was time for Goliath to come, you thought because he was a sheep herder that he didn't have the skill set to take down Goliath. And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And for the people, even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you.
So you made reference to the
he's gotten like really, really, really religious. Like I didn't even really know that it was like as focused as it was, because I haven't watched a lot of like the last Kanye album that I listened to like nonstop was my Twisted Dark Fantasy. I think that's what it was called. It's the red one, and I don't think I'd listened, like, I listened to Black Skinhead like 2 or 3 times, and that was about it. And I didn't even hear about the gospel album until after it was out. He's always been religious? Well, yeah, I mean, Jesus Walks was one of his first fucking hits. I mean, I remember I was listening to it on the radio then. But still, it's just, now I think it's a lot more.
Lives Matter T-shirt.
Yeah, I didn't listen.
Brought
I didn't watch
at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Why did you do that, and what did it mean?
No, I did listen to Pablo. Not that much though. Like once, twice.
I do certain things from a feeling. I just channel the energy. It just feels right. It's using
Pablo? Yeah, The Life of Pablo, the album. I think it came out after the Twisted Dark Fantasy. Yeah, I don't remember. Like, for whatever reason, I don't think I was listening to, like, his music then.
A gut instinct, a connection with God, and just brilliance. Like, as if you asked, like, Tanya Harding how she did the triple flip or the triple spin, she was in so much practice that when it was time for her to skate in a competitive format, it just happened. Like, it happened outside of practice. It happened in the real format. And that's what's happening is God is like preparing us for the real battles. And we are in a battle with the media. Like, the majority of the media has a godless agenda. And
I would say this is totally true. I completely agree. I think the media is the enemy of the people as well. However, I do find it ironic that he's saying this to Fox News, and all the people that are going to be watching this on Fox News are going to be thinking that CNN is the problem. I do not agree with that. I think that Fox News is also a problem. I think that they are all a problem. And I also do not think that the independent media is that much better. The only saving grace with the independent media is that they are more openly biased and they do not present themselves as often as an objective source.
The jokes in that work and this whole like, oh yeah, he's crazy and all these things, they don't work because the media has, they've also watched travesties happen, just even specifically to me, and just watch it and act like it wasn't happening. And they stay quiet about it.
I don't know about
what
that.
I want to answer the white. Yeah. I feel like someone caught what I was saying, the comparison to Tanya Harding about the White Lives Matter.
Okay, here we go.
My dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today. He said, "White Lives Matter, ha 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 ha." And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And I said, Dad, what do you think it was funny? He said, just a black man stating the obvious. Yeah. And, you know, my dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's like super educated. We opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic.
His mom was also very educated too. She was a teacher. I think she was actually an English teacher.
Together. He's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas, and he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have Instagram. So all these ideas, he had to like take them back and compress them. Like my dad is.
That's also like, that's one of the really good things that like nobody ever talks about with the internet, is that the internet has given a lot of people that like might have gotten fucked over in real life. It's given them an opportunity to go out and kind of forge their own path. Like, this is not really a, only a fucking race thing or a gender thing. I think it's the same for everybody, right? But obviously, if you're black, it definitely is the thing, right? Is that you can do something online, people don't really know who you are, and you can just be seen for what you are and not what you look like. I think it's a big issue, and it's one of the best things about the internet.
The most brilliant person that I know, and we actually have a strained relationship because I was taken from him, because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal, and my dad would see certain things and say, you know, we should do it this way, we should do it that way, and the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, you know, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview magazine and put her ass out while she's a 40-something-year-old multi-billionaire with 4 black children. And this is how fashion wants to.
Well, of course they want her to do that. I mean, obviously they wanted to do that because that's what's going to make them money. You see, like, the thing is that this is one thing that a lot of people have a hard time understanding, is that most people don't care about you. They only care about what you can do for them. And you are so lucky in your life, in my opinion, if you can find half a dozen people that care about you. That's how rare it is. Everybody else is going to care about what you can do for them.
How they want to present her. Mm-hmm. So I know you give these questions, and I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt "White Lives Matter," it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. So, by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that's my favorite response, because I kept on thinking, like, you know, people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
That makes sense, because Kanye will be the president.
The answer to why I wrote White Lives Matter on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah. Why do you think that's so, and I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them.
Yeah.
Why do you think that would be considered controversial?
Okay.
Because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. My dad grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around, but they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time, if they weren't the only black family, they were one of the few. And he would be discriminated against because he was black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against. He went to a black college, he would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum.
The same thing happened at my school, is that there were always people that would try to pretend like somebody else is, is somebody white or black, etc. That they especially did that with like people that were Hispanic. It was super, super fucking common.
in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? Where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of where everyone else was clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And when my mom...
People say I talk about pretty prevalent in Hispanic culture. What they used to say in my high school was that there were white and black, well, they call them Mexicans, right? But it was like you were either a white or a black Mexican. Like, that was a very, very fucking common thing. Like, I could get Cody or Jeff to come over and say the same fucking thing. Eric, any of them. Say the same fucking shit. Did you guys have the same? Yeah, why? Exact same in California? Yeah, I mean, California is pretty much the same fucking thing as Austin. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, same thing happened in my school. It's weird, right? It's weird the way people do that. But, yeah, I mean, like, and there's even interracial fucking... like discrimination. It's crazy how narrow people get with it. There's like white skin, dark skin. Izzy got bullied whenever she was in school in Sweden because she was part Polish. Fucking white on white racism. Straight up, bro. Like, if the people could find one fucking thing that's different about you, you're the different one, and they're fucking fine. That's what they do. It's crazy. It sounds so weird. Yes. Yeah, the Poles aren't well liked in Europe. Well, I mean, look, if she was anything, people always find different ways. I think it's in Korea, there's like such a big focus on keeping your skin very like pale and white as well. It's extremely common. White on white crime. Well, white on white bullying, right? Yeah, it's just people that are racist will always subdivide. They will always fucking do it, man. It's nuts.
When the schools suggested like the herding systems, because what they do is take the black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University.
That's why I said.
And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children.
It's like whenever you hear about like this guy's life story and then you hear about the stuff that the media said about him, it really makes a lot of sense why he is crazy, why people actually why he can be a little nutty. Bro, that'd make anybody fucking crazy. Yeah, I feel like anybody would feel that way. And I think that this is one thing that it's kind of hard to do whenever you're talking about somebody who you disagree with. But, and I think this is the same with anybody. I like Kanye West a lot, and so I'm not saying I disagree with him. I'd say I agree with Kanye West on a lot of things. But in general, it's important to see how somebody's life, usually if you understand enough about them, you will probably understand why they do or why they think what they do or think.
And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are put in Kim's head. They bring influencers. Like, no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from. These people were practically made in a laboratory, in my opinion. And
I would probably agree with them because South Korea does that legitimately, and so does China. They do it intentionally in order to, appeal to, Western audiences. It happens. This is not something that you can ignore or you can just, I don't think you can immediately write this off because there's multiple other instances of this happening.
One of the things that they're really good at doing is being nice and being likable. And what they do is, for people that have some form of influence, whether it's an educated black woman like my mother that became the head of the English department at Chicago State University, or whether it's the most influential white woman on the planet, being my ex-wife, they have people that are around them at all times telling them what to be afraid of. It's like not what to do or say specifically, it's what to be afraid of. And if you have a person that isn't afraid of them, you know, like a Russell Brand or Candace Owens, or it's not that we have to agree with this.
Is it Russell Brand?
Brand or Candace, you know, like a Russell Brand or
But I used to watch Russell Brand's. Remember the True News? I used to watch that shit like over probably like 10 years ago. I would watch his YouTube channel every single day.
Candace Owens. Or it's not that we have to agree with this, but
they're not afraid.
They're not afraid to state what their opinion is.
Yes.
No one is God, and everyone has an opinion.
Oh yeah.
So a conversation like this,
I don't like the argument that just because somebody has an opinion, they can state their opinion, but I also think that it's fair for people to also state their opinion about the first person's opinion. That's always what's fair, right? Is that if you want to go out there and put your ideas out there and talk and, you know, do all that, I think that you have to expect that there's going to be other people that are going to say something different than you. That's it. I heard Tucker Carlson be quiet for so long. Well, I mean, obviously he's aligned with Kanye West with a number of things. So obviously, what should he do? Just be quiet and let him talk. You know, of course, I think that would be the smart thing. It's not a surprise he would do that at all. And just don't personally attack people for their opinions for the most part. Yeah, I think obviously some people really do go over the line. I think they go over the line all the time sometimes. But I don't think that it's not as cut and dried as people can just have their opinions and it is what it is, because I do think there are some opinions that are dumb, and I think that some opinions that do, you know, deserve critique, and I think that there's no opinion that you should be able to have that you should believe is beyond criticism or beyond commentary. I think that you can maybe make some arguments as to, like, you know, who you marry, who you're in love with, you know, family stuff, like really, really personal stuff like that. Sure, yeah, you can probably make that argument. But with 99% of things, I think that it's completely fair to criticize what they are. I think that's what's fair. Yeah, just in general. Well, what do you guys think? Well, actually, let me finish this. It's another 30 minutes.
Is a window into a world that you don't see. So if you're familiar with West from the media, you think of him as an individual man. What you don't think about is that he is at the center of a battle, and people like him are at the center of a battle to get a message out, mouthed by the lips of influencers like him and so many others, that extends a storyline on behalf of, well, in this case, the status quo. So there are a lot of people vying to make certain that people like him say the right things. And the consequences for not doing that are...
Of course they do, right? Because you want to have somebody like Kanye West, somebody influential that tells everybody that what they already think is the right thing to think. And who tells everybody to think that what they already think is the right thing to think? Well, the people that told them to think that in the first place. That's the way it goes. It's what makes sense. I think also Tucker Carlson's doing the same thing. This is what media does. This is what these companies do. This is what social media platforms do. This is what everybody does. Everybody is always vying for attention and some degree of control. That's just the way it goes. Tucker's reward the 90% of the people in the media, though? I don't know. I think Tucker's kind of gone off the deep end with a few of the different segments that he's had recently. It's like... Some of the different things that he'll fixate on, I think, are like there's like one about M&Ms or something. I think that was a bit much, and I do think that those types of segments delegitimize the important segments. Does that make sense? Purple M&Ms, yeah, whatever it is. Constant culture war, yeah. There's always going to be a culture war. I think that that's true. Like, you can never say that, oh, there's not a culture war. Oh, there's not people that are trying to change the opinions. Because, like, you look at it from Kanye's perspective, right? And this is not necessarily a perspective that I share or a perspective that I necessarily agree with, but I can respect it, is that, you know, like, he doesn't want to have abortions because he thinks it's killing babies. So if you think that the people that are on the other side of you are literally killing babies, well, I think that you will go to tremendous lengths to work against them. It's just what makes sense if that's what you believe. What is a culture war? What does that mean? People are trying to survive? A culture war is really what happens whenever an idea is tested. So, for example, I think that there was a culture war that was won with, let's say, accepting gay people. Because whenever I was a lot younger, it was not necessarily considered as okay to be gay, right? I think that nowadays it's much more accepted. And there are a number of things that are like that have happened over the years. Another example of this is video games. Video games, whenever I was young, were considered nerdy and weird and just like, you know, disagreeable in a lot of ways. Like, they're seen for like kids and losers. And now those kids and losers grow up and, you know, they're the ones that are saying, actually, no, video games are great. So if you look at the perspective in like, I guess, and it's always very hard to define this because you're always talking about a subjective view of what society is, and some people are going to have a completely different view on it, and they're going to think, well, video games are still looked at like that. But I would say that based off of, like, this is my read on society, is that I think people perceive video games as being a lot more socially acceptable now than they were 20 years ago. So I think that making things less and more socially acceptable is a really good example of that. Interracial marriages or something like that. I think that first interracial marriage or first interracial kiss didn't happen until like 1960s or something like that, or 70s. Wasn't it on Star Trek? I think it was something like that. It was quite a long time. And yeah, Star Trek. And how'd you know? I know a lot of stuff, man. I spend a lot of time reading, and I've spent the last 20 years on the internet, okay? Like, I know a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit I don't know, but there's a lot of shit I do know. So, yeah, I think that it's very common. People are going to obviously, like, they're trying to fight for, like, you want to hear an example of a culture war? A very, very small one. It's very simple. By the way, can you guys, if anybody posts that you were banned thing, immediately permaban them. So annoying because it just gets chat. Oh my god, it's just fucking permaban them. Anyway, fuck, what was I gonna say? About, oh my god, I forgot what that was gonna be. Shit. Small culture war, right? Was the /spit emote, because I wanted to create a culture that was not accepting of people that did store mounts. It's very simple what the goal was. And the goal, I would argue, was very effective. It was so effective, it got removed from the game. And it wouldn't have got removed if it wasn't effective. So I think that's an example of the culture war. I think also another example of that is whenever you talk about like a lot of games being pay to win and gotcha systems, things like that. Diablo Immortal. I think all of these things are moving the social Overton window. And the Overton window, for anybody who doesn't know, is the idea of, you know, the window in which political beliefs are acceptable. Anything outside of that window is unacceptable. It's like being a Nazi or a communist, and you know, everything inside of it is being like a Republican or a Democrat, right? And I think that's kind of the way it works. It's a great idea. Well, it worked. Yeah, I still pull AoE spit in front of me. Oh, yeah, sure. Well, example of culture war, look at your response to your opinion about Andrew Tate the other day. Yes, exactly. And so, yeah, this is another example of it. It's like yesterday, 2 days ago, actually, I did a video critiquing or watching, reacting, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the Andrew Tate. And it's 2 a.m. I think I'm going to save this for tomorrow. I really don't want to be up super fucking late because I'd like to play some other games. So I'm going to save this one for tomorrow. But we are going to watch the entire fucking thing. I'm really excited to watch this. So basically, like, I watched a 5-minute segment of this. Yeah, this one right here. It's got 700,000 views. People were really, really mad about this video. Pretty much every single comment on the video was negative. I mean, and by the way, this is not something that bothers me. The only thing that bothers me is that so many people were wrong. I don't ever, like, This is not going to, I'm not sorry. I'll do it again. I'll watch the whole thing. I'll double down. I think everything I said in the video is totally fucking accurate. I probably should have said even more. I could have maybe said it in a more defined way and, a more specific way, but I'll probably do that whenever I watch the whole thing. And, yeah, it's what they want. No, it's okay. There are a lot of people that are mad about it, and this is the culture war, because Andrew Tate is kind of one of those people that is a culture warrior. And people like Kanye West, just online content creators in general, right? Whether it's obviously like somebody like Hassan is much more on the front lines of it than somebody like Lyric or Shroud. But I think that everybody does go and they do move the needle a little bit based off of the actions that they take and the actions they don't take. Does that make sense? They're called influencers for a reason. Unfortunately, I hate the fucking word and I hate what it implies. However, it's true. So, Shroud's a communist. That's exactly what I meant. I meant Shroud is a communist. That's correct. So yeah, I see a lot of this kind of stuff, and again, this is another example of the culture war. And I would argue that Andrew Tate, in a lot of ways, whether you like him or not, with many, many people, won the culture war. He was winning so much that they banned him. They banned him. There are plenty of people that have done the same thing he has, and they did not get globally banned off all the social media platforms. He was so ridiculously fucking popular, they got rid of him. Now, I think obviously there's more to it than that, but I do think that, let's be honest, if nobody was watching this guy or not that many people cared, he had like 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, he wouldn't have gotten banned off of all the platforms. They banned him because he was very influential. Yeah, won the hearts of the incels. Well, you can say that, right? There's actually an incel video I wanted to watch. I think we'll probably watch that one at the same time as we watch this. Yeah, I don't know. Was it mostly impressionable kids? No, I completely disagree with that. I think, yes, there are a lot of tater tots. Absolutely. It's a meme. But I also think there's a lot of guys that are older. I think that Andrew Tate's primary audience, many of them are teenagers. But I think many of them as well are also 20 to 30-year-old men. Yeah, 16 to 25. I'd say even 16 to 30. I'd say actually like 12, like 13 to 30. Yeah, somewhere around there. There's actual movement in Japan about the whole generation of young men choosing pillows over real women. Yeah, I mean, as I said, they got some really great ideas over there. Disaffected young men, love them. Yeah, I think that they do. And a lot of times, this is the same thing as a lot of people, right? Is that they say something and they do things that are, and I think that by the nature of, because whenever you really think about like what somebody's influence really is, in order for somebody to get banned off of a bunch of platforms and deplatformed, they have to be influential. Because if they weren't influential, the company wouldn't know to deplatform them. It just makes sense, right? It's just logic. So I think that anybody who's getting deplatformed or something like this, you have to argue that these people are influential. They are absolutely influential. I don't know about that, just bad publicity. That's an interesting argument. I think that you could make that argument. Something like banning, like how Twitch banned that school shooter guy. Or not school, that piece of shit that shot up Buffalo. Twitch banned him in like 20 minutes. Twitch actually a huge W on that one, by the way. For just like randomly finding his channel and getting rid of him. I wish they could do that with more stuff. But anyway, I do think that it was it's a good decision of theirs. But yes, there are some cases where it just makes them look bad. But I don't think this is one of them. He's influential, so what? Plenty of bad people were and are influential. It's not a so what. I'm just talking about the facts of the situation. I'm not arguing whether this is a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying this is a thing. It is what it is. They ban all the truth tellers. I think there are a lot of people who have the idea that anybody who gets banned thinks that they are a truth teller, and the reason why they're getting banned is because they're telling the truth. I think that any single person also would say that if a person randomly started spreading rumors and lies about them being a pedo or having sex with, like, I don't know, dogs, that they would want that person banned if it was materially damaging their life. So does it mean that you want the person banned because you're actually a dog fucker? No, it doesn't. So on a very personal level, this logic doesn't make sense. And I also don't think that it makes sense whenever you extrapolate it to a societal level either. It's just stupid. It's a cope, and it's just something that people tell themselves to feel better about getting banned. Were you talking about Quinn? No, I wasn't talking about Quinn at all. No, I wasn't. Let's see, not arguing and censoring him, but he literally ran a MLM preying on young, insecure men. He's a piece of shit. Sure, I mean, you can think whatever you want about him, right? Like, I mean, I think that many people run MLMs. There are many people that are pieces of shit on YouTube and on Twitter, but all of those people are still doing great. They're successful, and, you know, they have millions of followers. Andrew Tate got banned. So obviously it wasn't because of the MLM, was it? MLM is a multi-level marketing scheme. It's like, you know, like, oh, you sell knives to this guy, and then this guy sells knives to somebody else, and you make money off of the knives that the other guy sells. It's one of those. I mean, obviously, like, there's a lot of other examples, but it's something that's similar to that. Yeah, sure. Second, our chatters get banned for crazy shit by you and their appeals. They say I did absolutely nothing wrong. Well, yes, there is a very common theme in Twitch chat that I got banned for telling the truth. And, like, their truth is that somebody is a fucking loser and they should kill themselves. That's their truth. So, yes, I think this is an extremely fucking common thing on Twitch. It's a common thing on YouTube, and it's a cope by people that are just generally disagreeable, and other people have decided collectively to not want to deal with them. So, yes, truth equals ban. Yes, it's literally a meme. Absolutely. Reddit's post to ban truth sayers. Well, I'm sure that this has happened too as well. I mean, I think that it's very... I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I think that it's actually, if you look at history, history shows you that instruments of power systematically shut down and take the voice away from people who are saying something that is true. This has happened a million times, whether it was like the church, the government, or some fucking like local government thing, like the witch trials or something similar. This has happened forever. Yeah, look at Galileo. I think that's a very good example that, you know, everybody can fucking agree with. What's happening in Iran? Oh, I don't know about Iran. I don't live there. As I said before, I know this might be something that some people could disagree with, but I think it's the right option, is that I don't really make a lot of commentary on other countries' politics. The reason for that, it's not because I don't care about them. It's out of respect to the people in that country. You know, I like, our country has a lot of problems. I don't speak Iranian, right? I don't speak Farsi. I don't know what they speak over there. I have no idea. But I don't even speak their fucking language. I've never been there. I don't know anybody that lives there. Actually, do I? Maybe I know like one or two people that live there, actually. But, or I have known. But other than that, I have no idea. So I don't like, it's very easy to say, like, you know, it looks like the Ukrainian people are getting attacked and I want to help them out because it seems like they're being fucked over, right? Because they're civilians. It's the same thing that I would say about anybody in any other place in the world, right? Whether you're raising money for people in Africa or the Middle East or something like that, you know, Palestine, etc. All these places are relatively the same because most people don't care about any of this shit and they just want to go about their day and not get fucking attacked. Right? They don't care about who's in charge. They don't care about who the president is. They don't care about any of this shit. They just want to go about their day and have their life with their family with some degree of fucking peace. That's what most people want. Tate's not Galileo. How are you even drawing that analogy? How are you even drawing the assumption that I drew that analogy? See, I understand that you might be emotionally invested in the conversation, but you have to take your emotions out of it and just think about it logically. Yeah, just think about it logically. There's nothing that I said that even indicated that. Like you're selectively listening to the things that you disagree with so you can get mad at them. Top G was chilling, Piers was struggling and cringing. Well, the thing is, like, the part of the interview that I watched, I thought Andrew Tate looked absolutely awful in. And I think that just in general, Andrew Tate does a terrible job representing himself. He does a terrible job debating. He does a terrible job explaining what he means by things. And I think that in general, whether you want to think that's because he's too polite or whatever, I think that he's just really bad at it. That's it. I think he's just really, really fucking bad at it. And this is not an attack on his values. It's just my objective, like, assessment. I think that letting Piers Morgan control a narrative around him and talk him down and then try to make him walk back statements that he said, I think that there's a lot of subtle persuasion that's going on there. And maybe Andrew Tate is not trying to, like, start trouble or anything like that. But I'll tell you one thing. Like, I made the example of, like, Alex Jones being taken advantage of in like the interview with Piers Morgan. But I bet Piers Morgan couldn't do that to Barack Obama either. Can you imagine Piers Morgan doing that to Barack Obama? Not a fucking chance. So it's not really about being aggressive or being an alpha male or yelling. It's about being assertive and confident and being able to represent yourself in a good way. So I think that some people might have gotten that confused. I'll probably talk about that whenever I watch the whole interview, though. Yeah, it can be assertive without yelling, exactly. Barack Obama doesn't have wild takes that denied the Sandy Hook shooting, though. It's not about that, so you just completely misunderstood what I was saying. Yeah, you just completely misunderstood it. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Watch the full interview. I will watch this full interview. The 1 hour and 15 minutes. I will watch the entire fucking thing. My plan is on tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Maybe do another Nax. Maybe play some more of that game. And just chill out. That's what it's going to be. Sure, also remember, a true person can take back and explain their points in a real debate. Not never step back. This isn't a real debate. Anybody who goes on Piers Morgan's show to expect a real debate and to be given a fair chance is a moron. And I would argue that even by thinking that you were going to do that, that is an element of bad judgment. You should have never thought that was even possible. How do you deal with your chat? Well, I don't really get mad whenever people disagree with me on certain things because I just know that I'm right about it. And so if people disagree with me, there's just a lot of other people that are wrong. That's not really a big deal. It just is what it is.